But what it has also done, to be honest, is it's made me really have quality time. Like it's almost made me be very mindful of like who are the friends I'm going to be around. Because just being honest, if I can talk about my dad with you and have an honest conversation, like I don't have time to meet with you. Like I already, I think it made me be like, what am I doing with my time? Also, like just finding peace. So I try to make every day, like, what am I doing today? I try to make it a good day.
Welcome to Lost and Found. My name is Libby Blake, and on today's episode, we have Natasha Mayet. Natasha shares about the loss of her father, which happened 6 months ago. She talks about the different ways grief has showed up in her life through anger, guilt, and most importantly, Natasha made so many good points about how the loss of her father has really helped her understand how she wants to spend her time and what's important in life. The things Natasha said about time, I 100% plan on using those in my life. I thought they were so insightful, and I really hope you get something from this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Natasha, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just honored. Yeah, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for what you do.
And thank you for being so willing. I know that your loss happened within 6 months, right?
Yeah. So it was July the 5th, as we remember the dates. And yeah, it was sudden for me because literally in 6 hours, I think my life changed. My dad went from being fine to my mom taking him to the hospital for a cough. And then he was also in Pakistan. So I literally, by evening, I saw a picture of his resting place. I remember the date. It was right before my mom and my birthday because we have birthdays in July. But it's been 6 months. It's been a journey. And it's also, I think as I shared, it's been very challenging, but I'm so proud of my mom. And also I think I can say I'm proud of myself. Like I think maybe my dad kind of set us up to do good. I'm just proud of. There's been good things to happen. It has been challenging, but there's not been complete darkness, and so yeah, it's been really interesting. It's a journey. It's definitely up and down, as I think you can relate. It's not linear, but I like talking about it. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, it definitely is not linear. My mom has been gone for probably a year and 8 months. And at the beginning, it was not a journey. I was in one place and it was not good. So I give you huge props for being as vulnerable and as open as you are this early on. You're so strong. You are so strong to do that.
Man, I can't relate to my mom, to the loss of a mom, because I feel like that I don't even want to think about that right now because I'm just like, I came out of my mom's body, and as much as we've had a challenging relationship, she's my mom. But thank you for saying that. I must say I'm grateful for therapy. And I think also being an actor, but I think mental health has kind of been a focus of mine for a while, since before my dad passed. But I think I'm grateful for the tools, and I'm also grateful that I was able to talk about it and ask people for help and ask for what I needed, because it was definitely, there were like some really like shitstorm moments, especially when I went back to Pakistan for my dad's memorial. But I'm grateful that there were people who I was able to talk about it with. And I'm also just grateful for my therapist, to be honest, and breathing. Like when it happened, I messaged my acting coach and he was like, breathe. And for some reason that stuck with me. And so there's been a lot of help. And I think I'm grateful that I was able to talk about it. Like something said, don't be ashamed. Like, don't just like talk about it. Rather just tell everyone. And I literally started, I think the first day that it happened, I actually had an acting class to teach that evening. And I was like, I'm actually going to go because I was in South Africa at the time and I wasn't going to get to go back to Pakistan that very same day. And I'm like, I don't want to be home. But I was like, this is something I feel like I want to go and share because it's part of life. And I literally think on the way there, I shared it with like people in the street. I was just I'm like my dad, like I felt like everybody needs to know. And I'm just grateful that the people that I was able to talk about it because yeah, somebody was like, don't be afraid to ask for what you need as well from your friends. And so I think that's kind of stuck with me. And I think that was the impulse I followed to share about it on Instagram still, because there's a part of me that is like, oh, it's been a while now. Like maybe you shouldn't be talking about it anymore. But I mean, it is very much a part of my present. Like if someone's like, how are you? I can't have a conversation without talking about it because this is like it feels like it's changed my life. And I want to talk about it actually, and I'm fine to. And I think I would also know, like, I'll enforce, like, okay, I don't want to talk about it right now, but I want to talk about it. So I think I want to just to like face the shame or whatever of like, that it's okay. It's okay to be where I'm at. It's okay that if some days it's still shitty and I think yeah, I don't know. So I'm talking about it, I'm sharing, and I'm trying to ask for help when I need it.
I think that's great. I feel like until you experience a loss, you don't realize how consuming it is. Like it can become your identity. Like a parent died. It's a huge deal. And for probably the first year and 2 months, it's all I wanted to talk. It's all I wanted to talk about. It was the thing consuming majority of my time mentally.
Yeah. It's crazy because my parents lost their parents, and I think maybe generationally and culturally it's a different time because I'm like, how did they do it? Like, I didn't even see them cry. Like, they kept a strong face for us because my mom's parents are both in the US and she was in Pakistan and she wasn't able to go in time for even their burial. And my dad, he lost his parents, and I'm like, wow, like it's so interesting. Maybe it's a generational thing or cultural, but I'm like, how did they do it? Because it's just really interesting. And yeah, for me, it's very much, as you said, like we need to talk about it. And you don't see a lot of people talking about it as well, because when it happened, I shared with people and then I found out other people have lost too. It's not just me. And for some reason, we'd never connected in this way before. We'd never spoken about it before. So now I'm like having different kinds of relationships with people because they were like, oh yeah, I also did lose somebody and we've become closer because I never knew like other people. We don't talk about loss. We don't talk about it. So yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting.
I was talking to someone last week and she had lost her sibling, and she was telling a story about how her brother is a writer on TV, and they were in the writing room trying to write the story about a brother and sister dynamic. Someone in the room had said, I've lost a sibling. No one in the room knew that more than half of the writers had lost a sibling till one person spoke about it. Then everyone brought it up.
Yeah, that's
It's
crazy. Oh my gosh, like yeah, I do have a sibling as well, and right now it's like me, my brother, and my sibling. And I can't imagine, and I don't even want to. But yeah, it's crazy how vulnerability connects us. And I think with social media, I think this is an example of how there can be so much connection and good, because I think especially in our industry, I know I feel the pressure to share the good moments. But when this happened, yeah, this is like a moment of life. This is a human moment. It's crazy because I started talking about this kind of like with my dad. There's a book that I'd been reading, I told him about, by Robin Sharma. And in that, he's like, every day ask yourself these questions. And one of them is, what do I want people to say about me in the end? So, like, kind of in the past year, and I kind of like started these conversations just with friends, family, because we don't talk about the fact that one day we're not going to be here. It's almost seen as negative, but it's like all of us are eventually going to pass on, and this life is not permanent. And it's also a part of life, like it's universal law. And so it's interesting because somebody told me as well, like, you don't know how much time you have with your parents. And I remember, I'm just so grateful for that person because in the past few years, I made it a point to speak to them at least once a week because I don't live in the same country as them. And I'm so grateful because I was able to have a good relationship with my dad. Our last conversation was probably one of the best ones. And I'm grateful whoever told me, you don't know how many convos are left. Just make sure every convo ends on a good note. Because, like, don't sweat the small stuff, like no argument. When my dad passed, I was like, okay, but our last conversation was such a loving one that if it hadn't been, it would have been more challenging. Because, it could have easily have ended not on a good note. I think that kind of helped me because we never really talk about it. And something that really helped me as well is I recently came out of 10 days of silence. I thought I'd processed my dad passing, but I think intellectually I had. But something like these 10 days taught me was just accepting the flow of life. And it is hard, it is challenging, and I still miss my dad. But there was like a peace in knowing that the world is going to carry on. Like an octopus has a set lifespan. And there is like a universal law, and we are going to get old, we are going to age. I think we try to resist these things that we know are going to happen, like aging. And that, I think I'm just grateful I was able to take those 10 days for my mind because it got me a little bit of comfort. And also my dad used to practice that kind of meditation as well. He was somebody who accepted the flow of life. And I feel like when he passed on, he accepted. That brought me a little bit of peace. The more I lean into just accepting and knowing that there is love, and missing somebody is a beautiful thing, but there are days that I don't want to accept. Definitely, there still are. It hits in waves, even just sending you that picture of my dad, the tears are there. I mean, if I could bring him back, like it's crazy as an actor as well. We judge the characters. I think it's taught me a lot as about acting, an acting coach, because we would do anything for somebody we love. So of course I would want to change it if I could, but I have to accept it, right? And there were waves of a lot of times feeling angry. And, it's interesting because one of my friends also lost his dad. And I was able to be like, oh, I also did feel this way. So you're not alone in that. Because some days I was just pissed off. Sometimes I was just getting angry. And I'm like, oh, like I didn't realize that was also maybe a part of it, that some days I'm not going to be accepting. And that's okay. I can be kind to myself for that. It's a crazy journey.
So, piggybacking off what you were saying about how you have been angry at some points in your grief, how has your grief evolved over time? And were there any pivotal moments in your acceptance of it at this stage?
Yeah, definitely pivotal moments. I think one of the moments was going to my dad's memorial because when it happened, I almost got angry at a friend because I was like, it was not his time. And she was like, "Hun, I hate to say this, but he passed away, so it was his time." You know what I mean? I just found like things were making me angry, like not even related to my dad. And one of the things was, I think there was a bit of regret, like, oh, like I felt like he had more to do. But something that was great is that I got to go to his memorial because just hearing what other people said about him, I realized that even though he moved from South Africa to Pakistan, he served there. He had good friends there, and there were other people who lost him, not just me. And so when I went there, it gave me a lot of peace. Also, just hearing the amazing things people said about my dad, that he was always smiling, he didn't have an ego. I'm like, oh, wait, is he my dad? Because I have a big ego. But that brought me peace, and that was really healing to feel all this joy at his memorial and also be like, I wasn't the only one who lost him. But just to hear the things people were saying about my dad. And also like, I'm so grateful, and I will honestly say people back up your messages, because I was so grateful for my dad's voice notes and his messages on my WhatsApp. Now I like re-listen to those voice notes when I miss him because he was always cracking some kind of a joke. And one of his last messages to me, I hadn't even opened the link, but it was Steve Jobs' commencement speech. And he said, "Keep following your dreams. You make us proud." So for some reason, I only saw that after he passed. And like that kind of stuck with me. And now it's become like something that I'm like, okay, yes, I'm going to keep following my dreams, and I want to encourage other people to do it. So yeah, it kind of like was the people who've passed on, they want us to do well. They don't want us to stop living. And I know my dad would have wanted me and my mom to be fine. He would have wanted our relationship to be better as well. And so it's made me step up my game as a person. And my mom has grown so much as well. My brother has special needs. They live in Pakistan, but I'm just like in awe of this woman because I'm like, wow, I got good qualities from my dad, but I also like got a lot of strength from my mom. And so we've grown since he passed away. Another pivotal moment was the silent retreat because it was a meditation 10 days. And when I went there, my body was just starting to hurt. Like my back was aching and then I wanted to like quit. It was day 4 and I went to speak to the teacher because you can speak to the teacher. And I was like, my back hurts. And then I just started crying and I realized I missed my dad because all the pain from here was like showing up in my body. And he was like, it's okay, be kind to yourself. And I ended up like just going out because it was in the forest, like in the mountains, and just having a cry when I felt like I accepted in my body because I'd intellectualized it in therapy, but I was able just to accept and still miss and love. But I think that helped me physically accept it. And also just little things to keep his memory alive. Like he gave me this necklace. We were in Thailand together and realizing that he had a happy life. He was 80. He wasn't sick for a day in his life because when it happened, he went to the hospital and he had like a silent heart attack, but like he was literally laughing on the way to the hospital. And I was like, wow, I'm actually grateful that my dad didn't have to suffer, and he lived life on his own terms. And something else was that my mom sent me a message that my dad sent to her like I guess a few months before he passed, and he was like, when I die, just play Frank Sinatra's My Way. And so, kind of realizing that my dad was somebody who wasn't afraid of death, and that brought me peace. And when I went back to his bedroom, like he was reading all these books, but I was like, oh, my dad was somebody who was like not afraid of death. Like he had all these spiritual books, kind of like the autobiography of a yogi and like books on reincarnation. So the fact that my dad was at peace brought me peace, oddly enough. And yeah, just honestly, like I'm so grateful for voice notes. I can honestly say, back your messages up and don't delete them because you might want to hear your dad's voice on your birthday. And that's tough, I think what I realize is when it's going well, that's when I'm going to miss my dad because I want to share my wins with him. It's totally okay if you need to hear that person's voice. I'm grateful that we have those memories, and little things like in my apartment, little things that can keep his memory alive helps me as well. Like he told me to get a snake plant. And so I was able, suddenly spotted it. And wherever I go, I see a snake plant now. And yeah, I think there's been little things that give me peace along the way. So it kind of went from anger, yeah, like just a lot of tears. Definitely the tears, they still come now and again, but now there's been a comfort almost, just a gratitude for my dad's life. I mean, there's definitely going to be days that I miss him. There's definitely going to be days that I'm like a 5-year-old girl having an ugly cry. But I think one pivotal thing has just been my mom and I relationship because when I went back to Pakistan, she was grieving the loss of her partner of several years. I think they've been married for like, I don't know, like 40 years or something. And the person that she would talk to, and I was grieving the loss of my dad. And then we just had a breakthrough where we literally both hugged each other. And yeah, I think my mom is somebody that I now have to talk about with my dad. And that's been a pivotal moment, just the fact that my mom and I have healed our relationship. Because to be honest, if she had gone first, I don't think I'd be okay, knowing that we could have had more of a relationship. Because before this, I would just want to talk to my dad. And, now my mom and I, like, wow, I didn't even know all this stuff about her. So, yeah, there's been little things along the way. But I think the pivotal ones were maybe those.
I love how like you try to find like the silver linings with it because that took me a long time to
That's
see
okay.
silver linings. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a one size fits all, but like you finding the silver linings is very inspirational.
Thank
Very
you.
inspirational.
Thank you so much. I think it's like maybe I feel like my dad would have told me to find the silver lining because I think I was realizing today I get my optimism from my dad because he would always find a way to make a joke even in like a challenging situation. Something that really helped me actually was writing, because I remember when I went to Pakistan, I had a breakdown before I came together. It was like really rough to go to my home there and not have, but somebody was like, what do you think your dad would say? Or like, write to yourself from your dad. And so like I tried everything. I think I tried everything that I needed to, but I think that helped me. It's like, what would he tell me to do? And I think he would tell me to like, he would make a joke right now. So when it gets blue, and it does, I kind of try to be like, what would he tell me? And he was always he would literally be finding the silver lining right now if he was here. He would be like, why so serious? It's not linear. I think also maybe just because I just came out of these 10 days, if I look at where I was before, I think I was very burnt out. Right before it happened, I was debating on if I can really take these 10 days off. And I accidentally deleted my WhatsApps. I took the app off and I didn't realize it wasn't backed up. And then I realized that my dad's messages were on there. And yeah, it was not pretty because I was like literally walking in the street. I was like, no, it's fine. I'll be able to get them back. And a friend was driving by. He's like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, I just started bawling. I was like, oh my God. And then I was able to get them back. But I think I'm grateful that I was able just to take these 10 days of silence. It was really rough, but I think that helped me a lot because I don't think I would be where I am now if I hadn't done something a little bit extreme, maybe. Um, because I think on the surface it looked like I'd processed it, but I'd really just intellectualized it and it was still there. And it was also getting in the way of me being able to function, to be honest. I didn't know what could set me off. Um, so currently I'm in a place where it's okay now. And I think I also have some tools because I think mental health, honestly, it was a journey before my dad passed. And now I'm like, what was I unhappy about when I had two parents? But yeah, it's just, it's okay. That's just how life is. I'm just grateful I was able just to take this time. And then I had people who were there for me, to be like, stick with it, because that helped me a lot. It was not this way, I think, of even a month ago, and it might not even be this way next week. I don't know. But yeah, that was really helpful to me. So there's been a lot of like different helping things.
And I feel like you do change when you lose someone. You don't know what's going to set you off. You are a different person. I think it's up to us if we decide if we're going to stay that version or use it to help ourselves and others, because our loved ones would not want us to not live and be sad. So I try to remind myself of those things. But yeah,
Yeah.
when my mom died, I had no clue what was going to set me off, and everything set me off.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yo, I got set off like by a friend. We were like literally meeting about the film festival, and he just made like a comment about, and I was like, oh my, and and then I realized, whoa, that was not even like, I just got set off because of what I'm going through, and I realized, wow, I'm still grieving. My mom and me maybe were like more similar in that way because when it happened, I just dived into work. I was like, I'm going to be busy. I realized, whoa, I'm actually still grieving because it would just come out in odd ways. It's still challenging, I think, whenever I see now people with their dads. I can't help thinking about mine, but it's not angry anymore. It's like, there will be missing days and there will be sadness, I think, and there is going to be the victim. I mean, the victim is something that I've been sort of like, it's kind of been there in my life, that part of me, but I hope it's not going to be like a big, big spiral now. I'm like, okay, it's there. Let me be kind to myself today. Um, there's moments that the missing is going to be there. And the firsts, I think, are tricky, like the first birthday. I know the first New Year's, that might be different because he would be the first one to leave me like a voice message or wish me a happy new year and make some kind of a joke. And so the first, and then I don't want it to be the second. I don't want it to be the 10th. And also what's weird is like sometimes when it feels normal, I'm afraid, am I going to forget? But I agree, it does change you as a person. Definitely, it's life changing. I think it just also reminds me that time is limited. And, you know, my dad, I mean, he did a lot of things in his life, but he still had things he wanted to do. Like he was literally about to go on a trip. And I'm like, I want to just try to do the things today because we don't know. I also like that question of what do I want people to say about me in the end? Like I try to actually explore. It was actually interesting because I was reading that book by Robin Sharma and I told my dad about it. We spoke Wednesday. So when this happened, I kept going with the journaling, and because that was the only thing that I had. And you have to ask yourself 5 questions, and one of them is like, what are you grateful for? But I was just like, something told me like, just force yourself to do this because otherwise you're gonna like lose the plot. So I was like, no, I'm gonna force myself. But it's like crazy because I still had to like that. What am I grateful for? And but I think I felt like I was like, I'm just gonna do this because I was maybe afraid of like what's on the other side. So yeah, that I think writing it's been great just to write, and I'm grateful for my honestly my therapist. Yeah, like it's really amazing that we have these tools now because I think when my parents were growing up, they didn't have podcasts and it wasn't that normalized to talk about these things, especially for men to talk about loss. And I'm so grateful that now we actually can.
You said that something that like you realized with your dad's passing was that you don't know how much time you have, so you want to do all the things you want to do. Because I felt the same way, and I realized I was living in survival mode with that thought process, though. I had to rewire again because I was living thinking I had lack of time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yes, I can see how it might also, I'm sure, like at some points, it might be like that even for me. But what it has also done, to be honest, is it's made me really have quality time. Like it's almost made me be very mindful of like who are the friends I'm going to be around. Because just being honest, if I can talk about my dad with you and have an honest conversation, like I don't have time to meet with you. Like I already, I think it made me be like, what am I doing with my time? Also, like just finding peace. So I try to make every day, like, what am I doing today? I try to make it a good day. So I can see how it's in survival. Um, but I think it's more like, okay, let's just, what is important? And for me, what is important is also just right now making time to talk to my mom. So it kind of put together what's important versus what's urgent. And I'm really proud, for example, with this meditation 10 days, because I almost canceled it for a job, an acting job. And you know how it is with actors. It's like, oh my God, why does it have to come up when I took these days off? But I realized, no, what is important is my mind right now. For example, with my dad, we talk every week. We were supposed to talk that Sunday, but I postponed to Wednesday because I was working Sunday. And I'm so glad I didn't postpone any longer because I wouldn't have been able to speak to him. And we spoke for an hour. It was a FaceTime. The internet connection worked great. So I was able to have that memory where my dad actually finished the conversation saying, what an amazing, this is the best talk I've ever had. And I don't know, something that was interesting too is, when I look back on it, apparently my dad, like this, he said a few things that I'm like, did he maybe know? Like, I don't know. It's really interesting because, a week before he randomly told my mom that when he passes away, he doesn't want to be like in the cold storage. He would like to be buried quickly. It's just so really interesting because I'm like, is there a, do people know? Like I don't know. There's things that we can't explain, but that sense of like what is
We,
important versus urgent. And right now, what's important, honestly, is my mom and my brother. They are so important to me more than the acting. And yeah, that's what it's done for me. It is what is important to me. And, because we
yeah,
forget that running the chase, especially in the industry of like, I need this other job, but what is important is peace. What is important to me right now is my needs met, is maybe getting a nap in. So I'm trying to remember what's important right now, and honestly, it's my mom and my brother and me.
I think that's a great way of wording it because I think that's where I got stuck in survival mode before because
Yeah.
I was like, the things I want to accomplish in life, I want to accomplish them as
Yeah.
a because those are important to me. Like, but
100%.
they keep you at a certain like elevated state that we're not supposed to be at all the time. So
Yeah.
I love the way you worded it with the what's important because I think that is
Yeah.
a way better mind frame for it for sure. For
Thank
sure.
you. I mean, I
So
think I
I'm going
spent
to
so much of my life as a survivor, especially in LA hustling as an actor. So I will say that's one thing that didn't happen when this happened. Like, I'd already been doing that my whole life. And if anything, it made me stop really caring and give less F's about what people think. Because I was like, I don't care what you think, my dad died. Like, we're all gonna die. Because before this, I was, oh my, so much. And like, what are people gonna think? What are people gonna think? And now I'm like, well, we're gonna die. I don't care. Like, so it helped in that way a little bit, honestly.
my mom died 3 days before the strike happened.
Oh my God.
When my mom died, I didn't have acting either. So
Yeah.
I felt like everything got taken from
Ooh.
me. And
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
my God. Acting saved me. I think that helped me, to be honest. I can't imagine what I would have done not having acting and going through something like that, because I'm grateful actually that we get to do this. Because it can be healing as well, or it's a place to put your broken heart into your art or just process or, yeah, that's, oh my God. Yeah, it's challenging.
yeah. So then it wasn't here for so long. So whenever it came back, is when I was like, okay,
Oh
it's
God.
time to do all the things. I'm feeling a little better. I need my acting now. So now I am going to work on all the things I know I want to do before I die. And so it put me in a
Yeah.
survival mode.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Can I ask you like, yeah, like if you're comfortable answering, but I would like to know, like, when you have a day that you miss your mom, like, what do you do? And is there something that you like, maybe if you are comfortable sharing one thing that helps you keep her memory alive, or maybe, yeah, honor her if there is something. I'm just wondering for myself, if you're comfortable sharing.
So when I used to miss her, I mean, it was completely different. I grieved hard and long. There were days I could not get up. But we also did not end on the best terms. So my grief comes with a lot of regret. I didn't feel her a lot. And when I did feel her, it was more like I didn't get a lot of signs from her. She was in a lot of my dreams, and I knew she was not well at the beginning
Yeah, yeah.
of her transition. She was not well, and once the dreams got better, and they weren't like they were lucid dreams. They were more real than like what's in front of me.
I believe in that. I've also
I
been dreaming about my dad.
I 100% believe in them. So
Yeah.
as those dreams started evolving into something better, when I missed her, my mom wrote me a lot of letters, like my whole life, and I have all of them, and I'll read the letters. But they also hurt because it wasn't good when it ended. Um, my mom loved thrifting, loved it. So I will go thrift to
Oh,
feel close to her when I miss her. Anytime I do that, when I miss her, I get a million signs from her. So,
that's lovely.
yeah, I do things that I knew she loved or things me and her did together for her birthday. Her birthday was November 11th. Me and my boyfriend went to Egypt because me and my mom were supposed to. So we went to honor her on her birthday with something she wanted to do. I do those things when I miss her. I do. I read the letters. I mean, I think of her constantly still.
Yeah.
but she hasn't been in my dreams for a very long time. I think she's purposely giving me space. So it's not that I'm not trying to think of her, because I am. I'm just trying to not let it consume me so much, because when she first died, it was my identity.
Yeah.
Like, your parent died, when someone says, "How are you?" Like, I immediately would get pissed.
See the update on Instagram. You know what I mean? It's like, wait, did you not go on? Or like, what's been going on? Well, someone died, and then it gets awkward for a second. I'm actually like looking out for the signs now because I totally believe in that as well. I think when I reminded myself, like, just let go of that regret of like what could have been, what we could have done, and also when I went to some of our old emails, like I found emails from like maybe 10 years ago and I was like, oh my God, did I say this to my dad? And then I had to be like, just forgive yourself because your dad forgives you. Like, it's not like he was thinking about that. And our parents, I think they love us unconditionally. Um, Ultimately, I think we need to also forgive ourselves and just at least for me, that's because yeah, it is hard. Like I'm sometimes scared to go through old stuff to be like, wow, what did I say to my dad here? Why was I acting so like, what was wrong with me? Why was I arguing about this? And then realizing I was a little kid as well, and my dad wasn't holding it against me or anything. Like they just like, wow, parents are like they've got this. Like they actually, I don't know. Like I'm telling myself that I'm forgiven, and I got to forgive myself, to be honest, because otherwise it's a rabbit hole.
I feel like it's kind of human nature to be mean to the people you know are never going to leave.
Yeah. Yeah. We're talking about that in my acting class today, that we hurt the people we love
Yeah,
without
because you know
wanting
they're not
to.
going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's just like a natural part of life. But when you lose the person you were doing that to, it kind of, you're like, oh, fuck, what the fuck was I doing? You don't do that to people you love. And then that's when the realization happens, as opposed to before. So I'm like, we're going to learn from this and not treat people we love mean if we can help
yeah.
it.
Yeah. I must say, like before this, I would just get activated or triggered, to be honest, sometimes talking to my mom. And it wasn't even her stuff, it was my stuff getting triggered, to be honest, right? It's when I get triggered, it's me. It was probably nothing to do with my mom. And I think also like trying to change people because I think we accept each other now. My mom and I, we're not trying to change each other anymore. I'm not trying to tell her how to grieve because when I went there, I was like, oh, my mom needs to grieve like this. And yeah, it's helped me like be nice, be kinder to her. Because now I know that she might not be there tomorrow and the forgiveness process of myself will be very long, because the mother would be intense. So, yeah, it's made me be a better person in that relationship for sure. And again, it's always my stuff getting, because I think I'm still like the 5-year little kid, you know?
I love how you said when you're triggered, that's your issue. And
Yeah.
it's so true. Like, they're not purposely triggering you. No, you need to know your triggers and you need to like work on not letting those affect you, or not like being around the situation when that's a trigger for you. So I'm working on that too.
Yeah, and just taking care
The
of myself.
triggers.
Like some days if I'm like tired or like I don't have energy, then I'm like, I'll call like, spacing out the calls as well, like to when I have energy, like taking care of myself. Yeah, exactly. Like just kind of knowing our triggers and also taking care of ourselves when we need to, so that we can sort of like come from being our best selves for other people.
You have experienced your first birthday without him.
Yeah, and it was a big one. Oh my God, am I going to tell the podcast how old I am? I mean, I turned 40, and I think that's another thing for me, like being a Pakistani Indian woman and an actor is like age, it's but it was a big birthday, and it was like July 16th, and my mom's birthday was July 18th. And yeah, my dad would be the first one to call me, but the first birthday, I did still celebrate. I didn't do a big thing, but I had coffee with 4 friends who are like family, and we spoke about my dad. And but I did something because I knew I felt like it's a big birthday, and I also felt like my dad would have wanted me to be with friends at least and not alone. So we had a coffee, and but it was the first. Yeah, the first is challenging.
This is my second holiday season without my mom.
Wow.
And we always spent the holidays together. And the
Ah,
first one, I was just incredibly anxious for the holidays coming up. And I kind of pretended like they weren't happening.
mm.
Have you found any things going on with your holidays or any coping mechanisms to make them better or any
Yeah.
revelations with them?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm probably going to spend Christmas because I'm in South Africa, mom's in Pakistan, but I'm probably going to spend Christmas by myself with my dad. Like, I want to spend it at home because people have invited me. And New Year's, I'm not sure about. I think my mom and brother, because they took pictures with the Christmas tree. Like, they would always take pictures at Christmas, and it was very jarring to not see my dad in them. And I think, to be honest, it's harder. It's hard for my mom because she's used to speaking to this guy 24 hours a day. She's definitely still feeling his absence, and we've got very different processes. And that's okay as well. I think I need to accept her where she's at. But seeing the pictures of my mom and brother and my dad's not there at the Christmas tree, it's weird. So I think for Christmas, I want to spend it by myself. Because I mean, otherwise I would spend it with my mom and brother, but they're in Pakistan. But I don't feel like being around another family. I think that is going to be challenging. I already know, like, oh, I'm rather going to just spend it at home and maybe even look, I don't know, look at my dad's picture, like spend it with my dad in a way, or just spend it with myself. I think that's going to make it easier for me, just being honest.
That's what I wanted to do. My boyfriend stayed here with me, but he still has family, and I wanted him to go be with them. I wanted to be alone because I was like, I just feel like I need to be alone and like reflect and feel her and feel the things and actually like be aware of it. So I know how to move with holidays after this.
Because I feel like if I was around like families now, I would probably still be emotional. And maybe there's a part of me that I feel like I shouldn't feel this way, but there's a bit of like, oh, I don't want to be the killing of other people's vibes in a way. But I also know that it would be more challenging for me. So maybe I'm also just protecting myself by being like, I want to just rest on these holidays. It's been a busy year. And I do still need to process, to be honest. Like, I've also been, I think, avoiding, my therapist gave me like this grief program. Like, it was like it's like you do this for like, I've been avoiding that. I think I did the first page. So I don't think I've actually, just being honest with you, yeah, maybe it seems like I'm very functional, but I don't think I've like processed my grief because I feel like I've still kind of been, okay, I'm busy. Okay, let me do this. Like, done a little bit of processing, but I haven't really done. I feel like there's more and there's going to be more coming, but I'm also like, okay, like I will do that grief journal when I feel ready. Cause right now it just feels like a should do. And so I'm also giving myself a bit of grace in that. Like, it's also okay if I want to have a good day. That was something I had to come to terms. It's also okay to be happy. It's also okay to celebrate the wins. Because sometimes there's a part of me that was like, how am I happy right now? So yeah, I'm kind of just giving myself grace with that as well. But I know there is going to be more processing, and I think for the holidays, I want to process and just also get some rest, be still, you know.
There's still moments when I'll be like doing something and I'll think about her and I'm like, she's dead. Like my brain starts thinking and not
Yeah.
my soul. And like my brain can't comprehend it. My brain is like, I am never going to see her again. She is not here. And then my brain is kind of like, it makes it feel like she was never here. I don't even know how to word it, but yeah, I still get like the epiphanies and process it sometimes with my brain.
It's like the other day, I think I wanted to, because Sundays is when I would have my coffee and FaceTime dad. And so sometimes I like, it feels very weird, right? Because you're like, oh, wait a minute, are they gone? Like it's weird, right? Because your brain, you forget. Or like when I'm dreaming still, sometimes like my dad's very much, sometimes he's there, like sometimes I'll have a dream where he's not there, but like in the dream sometimes it's all normal. And so there is a weird thing where sometimes we forget. And I mean, like it's crazy. Like even a year and a half, because everybody I've spoken to about losing a parent, they're like, oh yeah, it never goes away. Welcome to the club. And I'm like, what? I don't want to be in this club. Like, but then you don't want it to go away. Why would you want to stop missing somebody? Why would you want to stop? I don't really want it to go away. I don't want my dad to go away. So it's not like a breakup where you're like, okay, let me just forget this and throw their stuff out. Like, this is something you want to keep alive. And I feel like I also want to keep missing, just being honest. Like, that's also okay. Like, I do miss. Um, but yeah, it's so crazy sometimes. Like, oh, wait, I couldn't FaceTime him. Like, it feels weird. It's a very weird feeling. Even 6 months later, also what was weird is like when it happened, and even still, like my mom was using his phone to like reply to his messages and stuff. And so I would get a text I once got a text from his phone. I was like, wait, it's my dad. You know what I mean? Like, and then I was like, oh my God, it's my mom just forwarding me a pic from his phone. It's just very weird. It's a mind, like, I don't know if I can swear on this podcast, but it F's with your mind. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Or like, I finally checked my Facebook after in ages, and I didn't even realize there were messages he sent me. Like the week before he passed away, he said he was going to go to the movies. And so I saw these messages now, but it's like, it's really weird. Just like, wait, I can't FaceTime him. Oh, he's gone. Or wait, like it's just weird. Sometimes you forget, your brain is like, wait, what is happening? Like, is this a Twilight Zone?
Yeah. It has a hard time comprehending it, I feel like.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Oh my God. And then my brother, I mean, I think for a while after it happened, he couldn't comprehend because, he's got special needs as well. And I think he still kept thinking my dad, he was like, why is dad wrapped up in this cloth? And it's like, it's just weird. And yeah, it's this crazy journey of life. But I think what's given me some peace is, it sounds morbid, but knowing like I'll see my dad again, like when I transition, that's almost been like, oh, there's comfort on the other side. So I'm not afraid of like dying. You know, I don't think so. And I would want to go, I'm like, well, he went peacefully. But that's given me comfort, is knowing like it's not our final goodbye, and that I think he is still here. Like I do feel like he is still here.
Because I'm still figuring it out. Did some I've started some rituals and stuff for the anniversary of her passing and her
Wow.
birthday. How do you plan on celebrating?
The birthday, yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that, but I'll probably do something involving a snake plant, and I'm gonna probably I've got some pictures of my dad that I got back from home, and yeah, I'm gonna like sort of set up a little place in my apartment where I have his pictures. So yeah, I don't. I'll probably like. Yeah, I might even. My dad's favorite color was blue, so whenever I would walk by the ocean, I would like send him a picture of that, and yeah, I might like either do something like that, but I'm gonna have to figure out exactly what he loved. Coffee. It's like crazy because it's like so many things remind me of my dad that are like in front of my day every day. But um, like he was a coffee lover, and like whenever I would see a sunset, I would send him a picture. And like a week before he passed, I saw a double rainbow. So, when it rains, I think about him because like one time I went out for like a run in the rain, and my dad was like, oh my God, like, as a kid, like he was told not to go out in the rain. And when he heard my story, it made him feel like really alive. So I don't know. I'll probably do something involving something that I'll probably drink some coffee, to be honest, like, at a place with a snake plant because like my dad would, yeah, I would take him for coffee. So yeah, I haven't thought exactly what, because it's a long way away and it's going to be challenging. I don't want it to be a year since he has passed,
Yeah.
you know? I don't want it to be 2 years. I don't want to be like, oh my God, that was 10 years ago. Like, I keep saying, oh yeah, he just passed. And like, it's going to be interesting, but it would probably be something along those lines, Yeah, something joyful. I listen to Frank Sinatra's My Way. Like I have a playlist because my dad was like always would like talk he loved music, and he would be in a coffee shop and be like, "What song is this?" And so I probably like listen to some of those songs in a coffee shop drinking coffee with a snake plant. Like
What would you tell Natasha 6 months ago when your grief
oh,
journey first started?
oh man. Wow. That's a good one. I would tell her it gets better and you'll be okay, that there is great love here for you and reach out for help, you know, reach out, tell people what you need and hug your mom, enjoy her delicious food and just be really kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. That's what I'd tell her. Yeah. Also, can I ask you? I mean, this is a little bit off topic, and I should probably listen to your podcast where you shared, but are you comfortable sharing like what is a sign or like some of the signs? Because I've kind of been, I guess, seeing like, yeah, would be interested to know like what is maybe a sign.
Yeah, this one specifically, whenever I get sad, I think about this one because it reminds me that she is still here. Not these specific bracelets, but these type of bracelets. One of my favorite memories with my mom is we had a bead set with them and we both made bracelets for the other person and they both said, I love you.
Oh, that's
I
beautiful.
The anniversary of her death, I went to estate sales because that's my mom liked thrifting. So I went to estate sales and there was a kit of the beads to make the bracelets. And on the like logo art for the bead set, it was two bracelets that said I love you. And the bracelet in the middle was her name. So
Wow. That's definitely a sign.
yeah, it was too specific to not be her. So I bought that bead set. Whenever I get sad or my mind tries to play those games, I think about that.
That's lovely. Oh man, that's beautiful. Yeah. Oh wow.
It's it sucks, but that it makes you feel good at the same time.
Yes,
Because
that's the thing. It does. It sucks, but you feel good.
yeah, our souls can know all day long that they're not gone, but our brains try to trick us into that they are. It's just like those little reassurances that really help me.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I feel like for me, like, okay, dad's still here, but I would like to physically hug him and be able to call him. And like, I even was like, okay, even literally thought about AI. I was like, wait, is there an AI technology? But, it's also like, yeah, like just accepting the flow of life and energy. Yeah. Like it can be created or destroyed. But I think the physical presence is definitely missed, for sure. Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you. You're so amazing. And thank you for these questions. And oh my God, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing about your journey with your mom. Like, she sounds amazing. It sounds like you guys had some really beautiful memories as well, like with the thrifting and the bracelets actually made me think about me and my mom. Like, she also really loves like shopping and like antiques and thrifting and things. So yeah, I was like, oh my God, I would love to do that with her. And honestly, I'm just like grateful that I have a parent still, because when it happened, I was so involved and like my dad is gone that I was like, wait, you still have a mom here. You know what I mean? And she also needs you. And so I'm actually just grateful that I have my mom here still, because I don't want to overlook that. Like, oh yeah, it's all about dad gone, and then that's so yeah, I'm kind of like excited to have more memories with her. But like that, thank you for sharing because it made me think about my mom as well. Like yeah,
Of course. And thank you
yeah.
so much, Natasha, for being here and being vulnerable
Oh,
and It's a journey, and I really appreciate you.
You're amazing. Thank you for creating this podcast. I'm really excited to hear more episodes. And yeah, like also shared it with a friend of mine who lost his dad recently. So it's so great that yeah, like people are sharing about it and we can feel less alone. And yeah, thank you, thank you. I'm just really just grateful.
Thank you so much for watching Lost and Found. I really hope that this episode resonated with you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe below. There will be new episodes every Friday, and grief is fucking hard, and you don't have to do it alone. And I love you, and I hope I see you next time.